I love that term too, because to me a break means I get to, meet people like you. So obviously I have broken out. So I would say Chesapeake Shores was probably the project that was my big break. But on the scale of what breaks can be, I still feel like I've yet to break out. But definitely, that term makes me think of like, oh, give me a break. Like, I was going audition, and, getting small roles here and there, and, a lot of rejection. And then I feel like when Chesapeake Shores came along and I read the character description, the character had a different name at that point. It wasn't Lee Corley. Her name was Emma Rose. And so when I auditioned for that character, everything just seemed like fated to be. Like it was just a really charmed audition. And I had a really great connection with the producer, director in the room, casting director. And I feel like it was a magical kind of opportunity that ended up being my break. So getting a part like that was like my first recurring opportunity, getting to go back to an episode week after week and develop a character arc and have an actual storyline. To me, that was like the best ever. That was so fun. So yeah, I would say Chesapeake Shores was definitely my break. And then it's kind of what led me to people like you and to having people reach out from all of the corners of the globe, which is the coolest thing. Like I'm just a little lowly Canadian, and now I get to talk to Brits, and I got friends in India and the Philippines and Venezuela now. It's so cool. It's awesome. My dad and mom put me in music lessons very young. I was always singing and goofing off and putting on plays, making little movies. And I was in piano lessons at 4 or 5. And I was always singing along when I played. And so I wanted to learn how to do that and bridge that a little bit better. So my piano lessons became a mixture of vocal and piano lessons. And then I was always acting in school plays and any opportunity that I could. I had some great opportunities when I was a young person to be a part of some short films and some film production. So I got bit by the bug early on that it was going to be an option for me to go into film and pursue it. I don't even know if I even really ever thought too much about it. I think it was just something that naturally progressed. And, when I look at really old journals from back when I was a kid, I think I would write things like, oh, I'll be a hairdresser when I grow up. They get to wear cool clothes. That sounds like a fun job. But I just realized that I like so many different careers. I watched that TV show, 6 Feet Under, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a funeral director. And then you watch shows like The Flight Attendant, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll be a flight attendant, and you're like, okay, I just need to be an actor because then I get to be a little bit of everything. It was true. It was so much fun, and I don't even know if the story is necessary. I don't even know if my storyline is done yet. I still kind of keep hoping that I get to pop back up in Chesapeake Shores and throw a wrench back into things. But it was a dream come true. Like leading up to getting cast on that show, I had been touring with a rock band here in Canada called Head of the Herd. And I was like a professional musician for close to 4 years. And we toured all over, and I played piano and sang. And I got to have that touring lifestyle, like the musician's lifestyle. So getting into Chesapeake Shores, it was almost like a complete representation of what I had just gone through on the road. So I got to kind of live that band life all over again, but this time for a TV show. So it was a dream because I had just come from, having a band of brothers and getting to play live music in front of audiences all the time. So getting to do that on Chesapeake Shores was just like I had never left the rock and roll world. Like it just felt like a continuation of it all. And then of course getting to work with Jesse Metcalfe and is another dream come true. I had always loved him when I was a kid, back watching Passions and what is that show there, Desperate Housewives, and anything that he was on. I thought he was just the cutest thing. So getting to work with him and getting to become his friend was really fun. Recording music with him and getting to have that bond, I feel like was just the best kind of role I could have ever received. It was so in line with who I am. It was really cool. I haven't done anything like that yet, and I wish, I would like that for Hallmark to be able to release the music that we had recorded for this show. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I know that there are some songs that we recorded that are just bangers. Like, they're so fun, they're so good. I would love to be able to share them with more people and that. But in terms of like recording music with Jesse, I haven't chatted with him recently, and I'm not too sure where he's at with his music writing and if he's still pursuing that on the side. I know he was releasing some music a couple of years ago as we were recording, but no, that's interesting. I would definitely like to go down that avenue one day. I've thought about reaching out to him and just being like, hey, do you want to do a duet with me on, TikTok or Instagram or something? So maybe something like that in the future if he's down. We'll see. Music. Again, since I was a kid, me and my dad wrote our first song together when I was like 5 or so. And I've had a couple bands here in Vancouver that I've written for. My first band I wrote all the music for. Nowadays, and I even wrote a song for Chesapeake Shores in the first season. The director asked me to come up with something for the show, so I was able to do that for one of the episodes. I think it's when Lacey's character, Jess, meets me for the first time. I'm outside of the B&B and I'm playing something on the auto harp, and I wrote that song for the show. As far as writing music now, I am writing music for a project that I'm working on, but not in the ways of like a recording artist. Like, I'm writing music for a feature film that I want to have as a musical comedy. So I'm writing specific songs for that kind of world right now, to get it properly recorded first. But yeah, definitely. And I'm seeing more and more now, like, even though those streaming services may not be paying the artist necessarily what, in the old days artists were receiving for royalties and stuff, I still think it's more important to have the music out there. It's more important to have it be accessible to people and to share the love. That's what it's all about anyway. Like, it's a shame to have all these songs, sitting on my hard drive that I can't share out of legality's sake, when really it's like, let's just share the music, shall we? But yeah, one day I would love to have all that stuff over on Spotify for sure. The character must have lines. At this point, I'm not too picky. I'm not at that point in my career where I can really turn away too many projects. It would be really specific for me to turn down a project. Ones that I've turned away some commercials, for example, that were, promoting projects or things that really are not in line with who I am. That would be the only extreme case of me wanting to turn something away. But when it comes to accepting a role or accepting an audition, I think the part or the role of an actor is to always find the through line of where you and your character that you're auditioning for, or the character you're going to play, where they connect and where they're the same. Because even if you're playing a murderer, even if you're playing something horrible that you may never even dream of as a person, you still, as an actor, are responsible for understanding the motives of your character and then finding in yourself what would make you do that. What were the circumstances that would exist for Brittany to behave in the same way that, Hannibal Lecter would behave. So that is the fun part, I feel, of every audition, is is doing that text or that script analysis where you're learning where you're the same as the character and where can you activate your body to then inhabit the character. It's fun. It's super fun. It really is like putting on a costume and like, acting out of somebody else's skeleton. Like you can really step outside of yourself in those opportunities. It's cool. Musicals. And before I really considered film and TV as being something I could pursue, I think I was considering performing arts and like more Broadway style career avenue. I do love theater. I do love some musicals. I love certain great musicals, or like some of my favorite shows of all time. But there's something about film and TV which captures a kind of nuance in performances so close up that you just simply can't get in theater, because you're sitting so far away from the actors, so you're not going to be able to get the same kind of nuanced performances, whereas in film you could be right up close and you're going to get all the little tiny little things that changes in a person's face. But I do love the excitement of being on a live stage in front of a live audience. Anything can happen. You're getting immediate gratification. You're getting immediate laughs, or I think it's an exciting world. But I just like seeing the finished product. I like having a DVD to watch, or I like having a film to watch at the end of the day. So I think I would still focus more on film and TV, but who knows, down the road. I mean, my God, some of my favorite actors get the opportunity to do it all. Like they do an episode, or they do a season of a TV show, and then they'll go on Broadway for a year, and they'll be very adaptable. And that would be a dream, to be able to do something like that. It'd be really, really cool. To recur to 2 seasons on Riverdale, and that was an experience like I've never really had before, to be on a show that popular with teen stars, or young stars, and the set was incredible. Riverdale, the way that they've built Riverdale inside of a movie studio, it's wild. Like there's houses, like Archie's house and Betty's house are built inside of a warehouse, and it just looks like you're outside, but you're just inside, and all of the different locations, pops, and it's just surreal to walk through and interact with these people. The show itself was really quite fun to work on. I didn't have a huge part, but I got to work with a lot of the cast, aside from Archie, to that, because that would have been fun. But it was awesome to work with, Cole and Lily, and it was really great, actually. I think trying to think of anything that stood out, but it was all just really lovely and easy, and my costumes were a lot of fun. My hair was always wild. They had it wrapped in all sorts of different kind of ways, and I played a dominatrix, right, at the Maple Club, which is one of the a brothel that was run by Cheryl Blossom and her mom. So it was an interesting character, really far cry from anything that I had read about in the Archie comic books growing up. They certainly didn't have any brothels or sex workers in the comics, but I was quite happy to join the team, and it was fun. It's always fun to work. Probably would have to say the storyline on Chesapeake Shores as Lee Corley is probably my favorite, because getting to be an imaginary world famous musician who's traveling and touring the world and singing and playing with her best friends every day. I feel like that was such a fun storyline to be a part of, just the camaraderie of the band, and also the heartache of loving somebody, because Lee is very much in love with Trace Riley, the lead of the show, and having that unrequited love, loving somebody and not having it returned. I think that's always, an important story to tell, or at least, as an actor, it's kind of a fun arc to experience. It gives you a little bit more something to work with. Other roles that I've had, nothing really. Oh, there was one that was really quite fun. I played an intern at a casting studio, and I was the lead of this web series where, it was just like working in a casting director's office and dealing with all the actors that come through and the crazy attitudes of producers and directors. That was quite fun. A very satirical, tongue-in-cheek kind of project. But I would have to say probably Chesapeake Shores would be the one that takes the cake. I have to say, back when I was in my band, Head of the Herd, we were doing really well. We had a number one song in Canada. We had another couple songs charting in Canada, and we were touring one summer. We had a new album out, and we had all these festivals that we were, weekend after weekend after weekend. We had festivals all over that we were going to. But this one weekend in particular, and the lead singer of the band, he pointed it out to us, and he made us take stock of how awesome this weekend was, because I think we were just all so busy that we weren't even really appreciating it. But what happened was, on the Friday night, we played at the Squamish Music Festival, and then Saturday morning we flew to halfway across the country to Kingston, Ontario, to headline a blues festival for 25,000 people. So we played a downtown Kingston blues festival. And then that night we flew to New Brunswick. We flew to the other coast. I think it was New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island, where we played, it must have been New Brunswick, where we played another blues festival, where we headlined another blues festival. So from Friday we were in British Columbia, Saturday we played in Ontario, Sunday we played in New Brunswick, which was the opposite end of Canada. So 3 back-to-back shows, coast to coast, career highlight. The dreams I was having, I was exhausted. At one point I had a fever dream that Celine Dion was dragging me to the bottom of the ocean. It was so weird. But it was incredible, just whirlwind tour. And then, so that was the highlight for being with my band. And then highlight for acting, I would like to think about a week that I had last year, where in the course of a single week, I had work on 3 different projects. So I worked on a movie on Operation Christmas Drop. I worked on an episode of Riverdale. And then I did a table read for Good Doctor, where I was a guest star. And so that week I had the 3 different projects, which I thought, well, hey, that's rock star moment too. It's, getting to, I think for me, getting hired is the best thing you could ever imagine. That was a total dream come true highlight for sure. Anytime where I'm busy and being asked the most of myself, then I'm happy. Hopefully getting a vaccine, hopefully, getting back to some kind of semblance of a life, of a creative life. I've been really hermiting this year and just writing, creating, getting my new website up off the ground. I'm just working on that right now. And it was interesting, just like everybody, it's been a really, really tough year. I lost my day job. I had a regular job as well, and I got laid off. And so it's been tricky. Luckily in Canada, we have really great government support at the moment for people like me who are, in a creative industry, but it's very slowly the gears are starting to come back online, but it's still not quite at the capacity that it was. Vancouver is usually just nonstop with productions, but it's been pretty slow. Getting back to auditioning. One of the major changes this year is that auditioning has all gone to home-based auditioning. So all the actors are expected to have, professional recording gear at home to record their auditions at home. So now we're not even getting in to meet with the casting directors to necessarily get the initial direction. So we're kind of, I don't like it. I miss going into the room. I miss meeting with the directors, meeting with the casting, and getting a feel for the project. Right now, while we're working from home, a lot of guessing has to be done, and it makes it a little bit harder to do the job. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into the room this year if possible. And, even though that's been taken away, I should also mention how awesome the Zoom capabilities have become. Like, had it not been for this pandemic, I have to really question, would this have ever happened between you and I? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if Zoom was even in my, like, realm of thinking before this. I feel like, this pandemic has forced us to really make connections online, which has been interesting and awesome. So I'll be looking forward to integrating this new connected world into real world connection,